Check 1, 2.
Go! Curious about real estate? Yes! Then you've come to the right place. Get the knowledge you need. Get over the fear and get started. This is the Michael Quarles Real Estate Show with your host, Michael Quarles.
Hello, everybody. Michael Quarles with podcast number 162. We have another scenario question sent in today, and I am going to try my best to answer it. Hopefully, you guys like the scenario questions. I do. I think they're a little bit more fun sometimes than just the regular Q&A, but sometimes the Q&A are great too. Before we get started, remember, continue your marketing, and if you don't, then someone else is going to buy the house that you should have bought, and your January is going to be slow because you didn't prime the January for sellers to call you. So it's a great month to market. To prove that, we get contracts here as well. So if we're getting contracts during December, so can you. You just have to do the marketing. And second piece of business that we want to make sure you guys understand is the Academy's open. Remember, if you want to get into the Academy and learn real estate the way we do it, that is great. I had someone compliment me yesterday. I thought it was outstanding. They asked me why they needed coaching since my podcasts were so good. And I think that was somehow a compliment. With that said, as much as we give away on the podcasts and help on the podcasts, it certainly doesn't take the place of a coach who's going to kind of guide you in the right direction. So it's up to you, but coaching program's open. Also, remember, if you want some, look at our inventory that you can purchase at some steep discounts. Those are on a link now on the Buy, Sell, Fix, Flip site. Basically, you fill out a form. We send you a password because, of course, we're not going to give everybody the access to the form. Fill a little form. We send you a password. You can look at it. And if you decide on any of those, there's instructions for that as well. And one last thing. Remember, we have a forum at Buy, Sell, Fix, Flip. So if you have any questions and you want the community to answer them, put the questions in there, and someone will jump in and answer the questions for you. So here we go. Scenario question, podcast 162. I've been following a hot lead that I received from a letter sent, congratulations. Seller had a loan that ballooned and doesn't have the cash to pay it off. He isn't living in the house anymore, is 90% through renovations, ouch, and now just wants to get rid of the house. We negotiated a purchase price of $420,000. And the as-is condition of the house is $600,000. So 600 at 70% would be 420. So I guess that's where that number comes from. This was 3 weeks ago, and since then I have been reaching out to him every day or every other day, either by phone or by text. We were supposed to meet on Friday to get a contract signed, but he didn't keep the appointment. I believe he is just very busy and still wants to get the deal done. But part of me is thinking that he's not serious. I mentioned to him on a couple of occasions that if he's not serious, he should let me know, and I will give his cash to somebody else. He asked me to continue to follow up. At what point do you think I should back off of this lead and stop following it up? Well, you're going to hear me a lot say 3, 7, and 10. So you send them out a contract. You follow up those 3 times. If you don't get the contract back after that, you're still going to follow up at 15, 30, 60, and 90. This, I think, is an example of trying or getting excited and thinking we have a deal when we really don't. Now, you may end up having a deal on this one, and that's great. However, you may not have a deal on this one, and you're wasting a lot of emotion and time thinking you have a deal or potential deal. I think you're 100% right when you think that your one side of your brain is saying, hey, he's just wasting your time and he's not serious. Someone who's serious, if you think about it, if you have a broken arm and you need to have it fixed because it's dangling down there, you're not going to say, hey, call me back and keep following up on me. You're going to go to the doctor and get it fixed. Well, we're basically house doctors kind of thing. So he's telling you he's not motivated. I think the takeaway close was great. I would be a little bit harsher on that. I would just want to let you know. I appreciate the opportunity to buy your house. However, at this point, I have to remove my commitment to you and go ahead and utilize your funds on another house that I have the opportunity to buy. When you become more serious, please give me a call and we will start this process at that point. Now, again, I'm going to call him back at 15, 30, 60, and 90. And oh, by the way, do you happen to know anybody that's looking to sell a house now? Because a lot of our business comes from referrals and repeat folks, just like yourself. And just cut him loose. It's a throwback, fishing kind of thing. Cut him loose. If he doesn't want to play your game the way you want him to play it, you don't have anything. Can't lose what you don't have. So just cut him. Now, let's talk a little bit about your contracted price. I'm trying to read between the lines here, and 600 times 70% is 420,000. But I also, when I read this, I read 90% through renovation. Now, I don't know what that means, but let's assume for a second that it needs 10% more work done to it before it can be presentable or before it's completely completed for someone to occupy it. So it's not yet in occupiable condition. Now, it may or may not be. That concerns me for you, because although we buy houses from a hotel perspective and put them on the market and let somebody else do the rehab, a rehab that's started already and not yet completed tells me that you may have some issues with time. And because you're only discounting at 30% and have not subtracted your holding costs and your time costs, I worry for you. I would look at what that 10%, you're not subtracting the 10% because the 10%'s already been built into the as-is value. So it was subtracted from the ARV and you've already placed a value on it. What I'm talking about is the value of the time that it's going to take to sell this property because it's at the 90% rehab stage. A lot of people will see a house that's not been rehabbed, so it's at zero rehab stage, as an easier fix than someone who sees something at a 90%. Because I know when I get a building at 90% complete, there's still quite a bit of stuff that seems to be needed to be done, and that could, although it's not visually, that 10% looks pretty big, and most people won't be able to see the fact that the 10% isn't as large as it is. Whereas a zero rehabbed house, people can accept that a little bit easier. So, I think if you start renegotiating with this person, and congratulations in the first place on negotiating that 70%. I want to say, although I'm asking you to get some more money for yourself, I want you to know that that's pretty good. That's a pretty good position. We know that 600 we're going to have 8.25% costs. So for round numbers, let's figure 10%. So we're going to have a 60,000 subtract. So now we're at 560. So that still leaves you with a 140K spread. That's not a bad day. Let's face it. Let's all raise our hand if we would accept a house that we made 140,000 on. I think we all would. I just want you to be conscientious of some of the added costs that you're going to have there. And then one of the other things I want you to be concerned for yourself, is making sure that title understands when you buy this property that there has been activity from contractors within the last 90-day period, or could have been activity from contractors within the last 90-day period. And in some cases, what will happen on that, and the reason we want to bring that up, by the way, is we want to make sure our title company is aware that there could be potential mechanics liens that will be placed against the property that come to you that you're not aware of at the moment. So a general contractor has so many days to file a mechanics lien. Subcontractors have so many days. If there's not a general to a sub, then the sub becomes the general, and they get to work within their guidelines. And by noticing the title company and letting them know, then you're protecting yourself against any issues with title insurance. Because if you knew something that was a possibility but then didn't disclose that, then they may say, hey, we're not covering it because you had pre-knowledge of it that you didn't share. Or knowledge of it that you didn't share. Which kind of makes sense. I mean, it's kind of like hiding something from somebody and then asking them to pay for it. So be conscientious of that. If you go ahead and go through escrow or closing, make sure, not just your closing company, make sure that you get it on the prelim as an addendum to the prelim that this house is in the middle of renovation, and subcontractor, whatever verbiage they have to put in there so that you're protected. Let's talk about a little bit about how you're buying this house. You've given me no indication of anything other than the seller has a balloon and doesn't have the cash to pay the loan off. I think it's important that you contact the lender on that balloon and see what the extension costs are going to be on that balloon payment. Now, sometimes, not all times, but sometimes you'll be able to go in there and pay a point fee, and not an interest rate, but a point fee to extend the balloon. So if a balloon, so you have, for round numbers, let's assume for a second you have a $400,000 balloon payment that's due and payable right now. And you go to that lender and ask that lender, is there a way that you can extend, or the seller can extend that balloon payment to a future date? Some lenders will say, yes, there is. It's a 4-point extension fee. So 4 points on $400,000 at $16,000. And the reason I bring that up is because if you're, and I'm not sure if you're trying to buy this house this way, but if you are looking to do a sub 2, then we have to factor those costs in to your price. I mean, let's face it, if you're buying a sub 2 and you're taking a $400,000 loan sub 2 that's ballooned and called, well, you're not really buying a sub 2 loan, or you're buying a property with a sub 2 loan. You're buying a property with a cash purchase, and you're just paying off the balloon, because if you don't pay it off, then they're going to foreclose and they're going to wipe out your equity position. But so we've got to see what that term of that balloon is and if we can extend it. And if you can extend it for 4 points, it's fine. You just have to factor in that's a cost of this transaction. And did we subtract that cost from the value, the as-is value after the repairs were figured? So I think now if it's a cash purchase or installment sell or a seller carryback, which I'd much rather you have a seller carryback than installment sell. But either one of them, in a case like this where you have the chance or opportunity to earn considerable, but we know there's a loan on it, so we no matter, irrespective of how big that is, we know we're going to pay something there, or we're going to have an issue of foreclosure. So, but you could be doing a sub 2 of that balloon loan and a seller carryback on maybe the equity position that the seller will still have, although they're discounting the property to you to sell it. Love to know a little bit more about that for the call or this podcast, but I don't, so I'm just going to have to kind of assume some things. So again, I would cut him loose. I'd spend my energy someplace else, let him know that I'm going to use his money to buy somebody else's house. And now keep in mind, it's his cash that you're giving him. And rather than saying to him, and you use the expression correctly in the question or the scenario, I'm going to have to take your cash and buy somebody else's house. And that's the position you're going to play and be in. And that's probably going to be the truth anyway, because it doesn't sound as though his arm's broken yet. So, 3, 7, 10 kind of thing, and 15, 30, 60, 90, and go find another house to buy. Great opportunity. Great that you've got a 600 for 420. Remember, once you have it under contract, I believe it's imperative that you have a BPO done on the property. You wouldn't do the BPO now. So your numbers, although they seem great, 600 as a value as is and a 420 purchase, they're only what you think, or they're whatever you've been able to support. You wouldn't have at this point, because you shouldn't have spent money getting a BPO prior to a contract. The BPO comes after the contract, and it even comes after a period of the contract. So in our case, and I think it's something, it's a crucial part that we do and orchestrate and carry out between the contract signing and receiving and the ordering of the BPO. I think it's crucial that you have somebody in your organization, even if it is you, which is very, very difficult to have one person or the same person do both the agreement to purchase and this job. But this job, I think, is vital in a check and balance system. And all businesses must have a check and balance system. That's why we balance our checking account. I think you have to look at the deal once you have it under contract for the reasons you shouldn't have it under contract prior to ordering your BPO. So someone, either yourself, which would be harder, or somebody else inside of your organization, be it a brother, wife, whoever your business partner is. And even if you don't have a business partner, you have somebody that you confide in and look at deals with. But have someone try to figure out a reason you shouldn't be buying this house. And maybe it has nothing to do with the house. Maybe you just don't have the money, the $420, and you can't get it. And I'd rather you kick the deal now and go on your way peacefully than frustrate yourself and the seller by going down the road of, well, I don't have the money and I'm going to have to cancel it in 30 days kind of thing. I'd rather cancel it now. But a lot of times what happens is, not a lot of times, sometimes I should say, the person who's looking at the deal from I want to cancel you perspective, because they actually take that role on, I want to find out why you're crappy, or a deal that I don't want to follow through with. When they take that opinion or that mindset, they really start looking at neighborhoods, the days on market, actual costs, dialogue with the sellers, the pictures the seller's going to send you back. A lot of stuff starts factoring in on reasons not to. And one of the biggest reasons not to buy something is because no one else wants it. As an example, it's a house that's going through renovation, but is the renovation that's been done and the renovation that still needs to be done, are those two parts of the property adequately carried out? I mean, is it something, just because something's been renovated doesn't mean that the general public likes it. And, this person's, that's their job, to kick the deal. And if the deal can get kicked, kick it when it can get kicked. Don't wait for it to get kicked. Because ultimately, if you can't do the deal for whatever reason, or the deal's a bad deal for whatever reason, and you find out the deal, don't try to make a deal that you know won't work. Go on to a different deal. There's plenty of them out there. Now, I know I say there's plenty of them out there, and some of you are saying, but Mike, I'm trying to work on my first deal here. I can't say that there's plenty of them because I'm working on 0 so far. Well, I appreciate that, and I have been where you're at as well, but just understand that I'm setting you a benchmark. And my benchmark to you is you get to do what I get to do. That's the benchmark. You know that it can be done, therefore you go out and take steps to do it. That's the benchmark. I'm your benchmark. So don't beat yourself up that you haven't done a deal, because you know deals can be done, and now just go out there and do them. It just takes marketing, understanding, presentation, follow through. But great scenario question. I hope I answered it adequately for you. And when you send these scenario questions and you can't give me enough information, and I know sometimes typing, it gets long, drawn out, and that kind of stuff. However, as much information that you can give me, the better, because I want to answer it as well as I can answer it. And again, congratulations on creating an opportunity, at least that is this far in your investment life. That's a good thing. And kick it to the curb. Follow up 2 more times. I would look at my follow up as I today I'm doing day 3, and in a few days I'm going to do day 7, and in a few days I'm going to do day 10, and then 15, 30, 60, 90. The past is the past. And so you only have to fall forward on things that you would do in the future. Go find another house to buy and fall forward. Thanks so much, guys. Hey, and remember, if you want to get in the academy, let us know. Love to have a chance to chat with you. Make sure that you and I fit, because it's important. I'm pretty bold and blunt. I guess probably more blunt than bold. And I hate that word, My coaching students are going to say, Mike, you just said your weak word. However, I know I said it. I think it's important that you and I chat for a little bit to confirm that we're a good fit. Because of my bluntness, I will absolutely tell you if I think you're off in left field, and I hope you tell me if I'm off in left field. Anyway, guys and gals, thanks so much. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Michael Quarles Real Estate Show. Get more info and stay in touch at michaelquarles.com.